stop scaring us about economic opportunities that are going to be denied when we are removing the embassy of Israel. These people will go, and these people must go with immediate effect. We can't share a territory with murderers. We say no to the embassy of Israel in South Africa. It must go, and it must go now. No justice, no peace. This morning we're bombarded with SMSs on our phones and emails and social media accounts because the Board of Deputies and the Zionist Federation send their members our numbers to insult us, to intimidate us. We'll never be intimidated. The people of Palestine will know their freedom one day, like we struggled, and today we know our freedom. We will never know true democracy until the world it is democratized and people enjoy the freedom. Palestine shall be free, whether the apartheid apologists like it or not, will be on the side of the people of Palestine.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.
We are here to introduce the EFF motion on the termination of all diplomatic relationship with the apartheid state of Israel, in particular the removal of its embassy from our land. Accordingly, we table a draft resolution understanding that at a later stage, when the full plenary of parliamentarians sit, the House will vote and hopefully do so in our favor. Our call is based on the brutal and inhuman violence that the apartheid state of Israel has unleashed on the people of Gaza over the past several weeks. This violence has been over 11,000 Palestinians massacred in an unprecedented military bombardment of unarmed, innocent, and helpless civilians in the whole of human history. In this inhuman bombardment, the Israeli Defense Force has murdered 4,650 children, 3,145 women, 198 medics, 22 civil defense personnel, and 51 journalists. Reports also indicate that 29,200 Palestinians in Gaza are injured. Above all, at least 3,600 people remain unaccounted for. In the devastation of buildings and landscapes, apartheid Israel aggression has forced 25 hospitals and 52 healthcare centers out of service, while 55 ambulances were targeted by Israeli forces. This should tell us that indeed Israel has declared war against children, hospitals, ambulances, journalists, and general campaign to wipe Palestinians off face of the earth. Many here will try to defend the defenseless situation in that country. But we all know that this is not defensible. However, this will be deliberate effort to blind us to the true story of Palestine, a story of over 70 of inhumanity that started with a colonial military occupation and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians by Zionist forces that established the state of Israel in 1948 as an apartheid state. A story of what Palestinians call the Nakaba, where Zionist colonial forces backed by British and USA governments expelled at least 750,000 Palestinians from their homes, lands, and captured 78% of historic Palestine. Here is where the remaining 22% was divided into what we now call the occupied West Bank and the besieged Gaza Strip. Since then, even the 22% was never allowed any form of self-determination. Palestinians have lived under Israeli military occupation without basic human rights, such as the right to life, the right to equality, the right to a fair trial, the right to protest, the freedom of speech, the freedom of movement, the freedom of assembly or media freedom. This has been going on not since October 2023, but since 1948, and that is 75 years of hell, mass murder, ethnic cleansing, and brutal humiliation. We must remember that over 12,000 Palestinians, children, have been detained since the year 2000 alone of these, over 700 children who are unaccounted for in Israel. In addition, Israel has over 7,000 political prisoners, 200 of which again are children. It is reported by Israel itself that on average 204 Palestinian children have been held in custody every month since 2012. The world is aware of all these facts. Israel does not see Palestinian children. It hates them the same way the apartheid regime hated children like Tsizi Mashinini, Hector Peterson, and many who were murdered in Soweto in 1976 and beyond. The world is aware that Israel constructed a wall and fence that separated Palestinian towns and villages from Israel settlements, which designated only the occupied West and Gaza. In Gaza, for over 50 years, this has been caused a population of 2 million people living on top of each other, the most densely populated area on earth. There are over 100 racially discriminated checkpoints, separate roads in which over 130 occasional roadblocks and searches conducted subject Palestinians to constant humiliation and dehumanization. In recent years, before the current destruction of Gaza, Israel launched 4 protracted military assaults on Gaza alone in 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021. The 2008 assaults involved the use of internationally banned weapons such as phosphorus gas. In 2014, over a span of 50 days, Israel killed more than 2,100 Palestinians, including 1,462 civilians and close to 500 children. During the assault, they called Operation Protective Edge, about 11,000 Palestinians were wounded, 20,000 homes destroyed, and 500,000 people displaced. So, what is happening today is part of over half a century-old project to wipe Palestine and Palestinians off the face of the earth. It is a systematic and gradual genocide unleashed by the state that established itself as an ethnic, exclusive state of Jews at the expense of indigenous Palestinian population. We must therefore reject the idea that because Israel calls itself a Jewish state, opposing its brutal apartheid system is anti-Semitic. There is nothing anti-Semitic about opposing injustice, particularly apartheid. Zionism does not equal Jewishness or Judaism. No one must manipulate scripture in the Bible or the Torah to promote ethnic cleansing, racism, and the mass murder of people. There are no special human beings with the right to massacre others so that they can benefit from the subsequent stolen land. We are all chosen people of God. We are all loved by God, and we must oppose any form of inequality and racism, even by those who do it in the name of God. We must therefore never buy into the lie and propaganda that this is a religious war. This is not a holy war. It is an evil war by an evil regime that is driving an evil agenda. Israel is a Zionist apartheid regime seeking to wipe Palestinians off the face of the earth. Palestinians who have all the rights to exist, particularly in the land of their ancestors. We therefore call on all of the world to isolate Israel through boycotts, disinvestment, sanctions until they end their military occupation and allow Palestinian refugees in surrounding countries like Lebanon, Syria, the right of return. We call on the Ramaphosa ANC government to shut down the Israeli embassy in Pretoria and end diplomatic relations with that brutal apartheid Israel regime. In the name of our own constitutional values, we must end these relations until human rights of Palestinians are respected, promoted, and protected. Israel must comply with international law, and until then, any relations with them must be regarded as an offensive on our constitution. The president yesterday said they are going to send a complaint to International Criminal Court against Israel and Netanyahu, in line with what the president has said, and as survivors of apartheid ourselves, we must fight on the side of the Palestinian people and always be on the side of the weak. We therefore calling on members of parliament and the people of South Africa to support the call to remove the Palestinian Israeli embassy in South Africa. We can't share a territory with murderers. We say no to the embassy of Israel in South Africa. It must go, and it must go now. No justice, no peace. Free Palestine. We fully agree with all those who are saying we need to insist on the arms embargo against Israel, and we must also continue with our withdrawal of our embassy staff from Tel Aviv and Israel. We fully agree that indeed parties such as the DA will never understand the suffering of the people of Palestine because they've never been in the conditions those people find themselves in. If anything, they benefited from the suffering and the pain of others, and they will not immediately relate with what is happening in Palestine. We know what is forced removal. We know what is land occupation. We are still coexisting with land occupiers who come here and want to tell us about political point scoring and political opportunism. We cannot be lectured about human rights by beneficiaries of the butchering of our people. People who still wish that the tables can turn and that they can perpetuate what they used to do during apartheid days. So for the fact that they do not have an experience of being a victim of an apartheid, they will never support this. Why should it come as a surprise that the IFP will not support an action to remove an Israeli embassy? They did not support sanctions against apartheid. They did not support the international isolation of the South African apartheid. And they've always been the collaborators. They are direct beneficiaries of some of those who are linked with the apartheid, Zionist apartheid state. So apartheid collaborators and the people who opposed apartheid sanctions and international isolation do not stand any chance of supporting exactly the same call that we're making, because we know the power of international solidarity. So we're calling on all progressive forces to reject the blackmail of the FF+ when it says the ANC will support EFF, the ANC can't support EFF, the ANC must be bold. That's how those who benefited from the blood of others will behave. The bloodsuckers, the vultures, the people who are still longing for the human flesh of Africans will never see anything wrong with what is happening in Palestine. Stop scaring us about economic opportunities that are going to be denied when we are removing the embassy of Israel. That is swart gevaar. It is what Afrikaner apartheid apologists survived with. They always created scaremongering and scare tactics for people not to support the genuine struggle. A product, the immediate beneficiary, the grandchild of the inventors of swart gevaar is coming with swart gevaar tactics here, that there are certain economic opportunities that if you remove the Israeli embassy, you will forfeit those opportunities and certain skills. That's what Afrikaner apartheid apologist survives on. And this should never be shocking to some of us. So we agree that indeed the referral to the ICC by the president, it's a clear direction that we cannot say these people are engaged in violation of human rights and still have them in our territory. They need to go. We need to take a bold move and say these people will go. And these people must go with immediate effect. We are not opposed to any amendment of any motion, because for us, this is not political opportunism. This is not point scoring. As long as at the end of the day, we agree that the Israeli embassy must be dismissed from South Africa. The rest of other gymnastics which people feel that they need to add on this motion are more than welcome, especially the ANC that prides itself of having benefited from international solidarity. It's an opportunity now for you to stand on the side of the people of Palestine, who have been on the side of the people of South Africa in the struggle against apartheid. It is our opportunity now to thank the world and teach the international criminals that their crimes will no longer go unpunished. Our struggle for the self-determination of the people of Israel is nothing against the Jewish people, is everything against Netanyahu, is everything against the Zionists, is everything against violation of human rights. This morning we're bombarded with SMSs on our phones and emails and social media accounts because the Board of Deputies and the Zionist Federation send their members our numbers to insult us, to intimidate us. Will never be intimidated. The people of Palestine will know their freedom one day, like we struggled, and today we know our freedom. We will never know true democracy until the world it is democratized and people enjoy the freedom. Palestine shall be free, whether the apartheid apologists like it or not, will be on the side of the people of Palestine. I thank you.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.